All right, y'all. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. It is Marketing Monday today. Um, I had somebody I was going to interview today, but I had to change up the plans a little bit. It's a little bit of a burnout, as you can see when it comes to the title of this live for this evening. Okay, this weekend was busy. All right, and I'm gonna go into what it takes to really be a oof, entrepreneur of all sorts, but especially when it comes to doing what I do as a videographer, photographer. You are going to get booked pretty quickly, and you have to be able to adapt, especially if you know what you're doing, and prepare yourself for that rest day. So for me, yesterday was definitely that rest day. Going into a little bit of today, I had to kind of get back on my regimen when it comes to my fitness for today, but nonetheless, I was wanting to make sure that I rested enough on yesterday. So I'll give you guys the rundown of how my weekend went, and then we'll go right into it. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys as well. I'm not planning on being here for too long. I'm not even gonna flex and act like I'm gonna be here all night. Probably not even 30 minutes. It might be 15, but either way, we're gonna make it work. Okay. So first and foremost, I had a great weekend. Like I'm not gonna act like this is so much and this is so painful. Like I couldn't deal. Like no, fuck that. I love my weekend. My weekend was great. Okay. Um, and it started on Saturday. Okay. Typically, what happened was I had a class I had to record. Okay. And I've been promoting the class, on my page, so you guys might already know what class I'm talking about. But I've been promoting it, and I had to make sure that I recorded that said class. Basically, what takes place when I am filming a class is basically I am getting highlights. Right, I am also covering some behind the scenes footage to show me and how I am working the particular event, whatever it might be, class, for photo shoot, whatever, right? Because at the end of the day, my behind the scenes footage actually helps me get clients. Okay, so I had that, and what I did was I had set up my camera on my gimbal, and I basically just walked around the room, took some really great footage, and was able to really put something together, just so that way when I do the recap, it looks really really nice, right? Ultimately, the person that I did the class for, it was specifically to honor them and their birthday. So I wanted to make sure that I got a lot of great footage specifically for them, right? While capturing everybody else. Because keep in mind, when you're in a dance class, not everybody is going to be keen to want to be the center of attention, right? And forget about even talking about being recorded. But a lot of times they are coming in there because they want to be more confident. They want to be more into themselves to make sure that they can exude that type of beauty that they are looking for. So they're not always going to be like, "Hey, put me in front of the camera." Whereas you got some people like me and some of the people that were in the class, I already knew they ain't got no problems with it, right? And then there's others that's just like, yeah, I like to be in the background. So you make that work, especially as a videographer. You start to understand how you really need to cater to different types of people. So that way you're not invading in their space. And if they say, look, I don't want to be recorded at all, then that's what that is. I have no problems doing that. Like, I'm not trying to make you get recorded. It makes no sense because my footage doesn't look the best when it happens that way. I'd rather you want it or know that it's going to happen, right, beforehand. So that class went for like 90 minutes, which was really great. So I was able to get all the footage that I needed. Ultimately, I already had ideas of how I want to do the edits and bits and pieces of clips later on. And then I had a little bit of a break. It was a very short break, but it was a little bit of a break because got back home. Didn't really get a whole lot of time to rest. Cause about a few hours later, I had to get ready for the next gig. And the next gig was where I was filming a performance. Sometimes people do hit me up and they say, "Hey, I would really like for you to film my performance." There may be situations to where they might not have a videographer on hand when they go to perform, or there's a videographer on hand and they not fucking with them. All right, then they'll be like, "Hey, I need you to come and do this because I'd rather you be able to capture me, and I trust that you'll do what is needed to be done." All right, so I ensure that I am making sure that I am in place to do what needs to be done. Okay, and even that, they like it was even a whole 2-3 hours type situation. Like they had a few sets, So I recorded each set, and we also did pictures. So we did pictures at the beginning of the show. So right before everything starts getting crazy and people start really getting really excited and the sweat starts kicking in, make sure you get some really nice shots prior. So that is something that I do offer for anybody that's like inquiring about that. But if you are a performer and you're like, hey, I'm about to do a show and I need to make sure that I got some great footage because I want to be able to post this, promote this. I need something on a more professional level. This is where I can help you do that. Okay, so it's of course it's a particular fee for whatever that may be, but I'll have a conversation with you on what that consists of, and then we go from there. So then after that, it wasn't another gig that I had to do per se, but it was me making sure I go spend some time with a friend, right? So, and it was basically going to this, how do you call it, menagerie? It sounded so other way. But it's like a dance fusion class. Okay, so you go there and basically just get to interact with other people or other different type of styles of dance, and you basically just have a good time. So that was something that I had to do for my mental, for a friend, and ultimately just to kind of decompress. But I will not shit you. I was exhausted. I was exhausted. Like by the time I was going to the second gig, I was already sleeping in the back of the Uber. Like that's how tired I was just from the day already. All right. Hey Cherish, thank you so much for joining. I didn't expect to see you tonight, but I'm here talking about my weekend. How exhausted I was, and ultimately the burnout, trying to really recoup, which it's almost recouped, but we getting there. It's a lot better than what it was. Um, so yeah, so just the Uber getting to the second gig, I was right in the back, just like snoring, like it was crazy. So by the time I got to the last event, I was glad that I wasn't working it, but it was a situation to where I was kind of working on fumes, like for the most part, because as soon as I got home, that was it. I hit the bed, hit the pillow, and it was on. That was it. Like I don't know what happened before that. I just know I was gone. Okay. The next day, which is Sunday, I slept for I'm gonna say a little over 10 hours. And it would just felt heavy, right? So it's one of those things where when you are an entrepreneur and you are, whew, your schedule can be all over the place. All right, and that's something that I have got grown accustomed to being an entrepreneur, but I also try to find ways where I can negate it a little bit to where I can kind of control what is going on because it's granted I already know when these events are taking place. I already have it in my calendar. Like I have it in my calendar, right? Because I'm making sure like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do on this particular date, on this particular time. So I already know like if I'm double booking myself or not. But then there are other times where you're like you try to space it out as much as you can, and then sometimes you can't. So you just take what you can in the meantime. Because at the end of the day, how I look at it, and this is definitely you can kind of judge for yourself if this makes sense. Or how I look at it is I would rather not necessarily complain, but I rather in the sense of be weary and tired from me working as much as I am versus complaining because I'm not working as much as I am, right? So it's like you kind of have to find that balance and that caveat because if you don't, it will take you out to the where you might not want to do this shit at all, right? And I've gotten to a place where there was a point, and I've done this in the past with other businesses where I've done something for so long, and I just got to the place where I just didn't want to do it anymore because that's how burnt out I was, right? And funny thing about it is I love that thing, right? And now I'm getting back to that place where I'm loving that thing again, but now it's on my own terms. Because it's easy for people to be like, hey, I know you can do this. Let's go ahead and get you on doing it. And then they booking every second of your day and you can't move left or right to just to chill out and relax. So this is where you have to be intentional on doing that. So yesterday is my intentional day. A little bit of this morning as well. So this was all to give you guys a rundown. That's just on one weekend because every weekend this month I am definitely booked. And even next month I got a couple weekends already booked. So it's gonna be one of those things where I have to definitely pay attention. So okay, if I got this booking at second place, especially if I'm traveling a lot, being prepared that the next day I don't do anything. I don't do any kind of work because if I do, it's gonna be my fault. All right, it's gonna be all on me. So I want to make sure that I am planning not only my work days but planning my rest days. Okay, um, so that goes for you guys as well. Like if you're on here and you may have a time where you're like, I'm exhausted all the time, and I want to make sure that I'm putting out content. I want to make sure that I'm putting out work. I want to make sure that I am interacting with people. But how do I do that when I want to be successful, but then I'm always tired, right? And you got to find that balance. And I've heard before people have said that there is no such thing as balance when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to personal and business, right? And to some extent, that could be true. But for me, how I see it is that is you scheduling better. That is you really planning out your time better. Like if something pops up that you're not expecting to take place when it does, this is where you still can say, you know what, I'm going to pause on that, and it's a great opportunity, but I don't need to do that right now. And that's something I had to find myself doing in the last couple of months. For sure, I would be excited about doing something. I will already have reached out to the people. I would already be like, hey, I want to go lock in and we're going to make this happen. Then I look at my calendar, I'm like, this is going to be crazy. Like, how am I going to figure that out? And how am I going to make it make sense? Right? Especially if there's some things that I might necessarily be getting paid for and I might not be a booking. It might just be wanting to just show face. Now I'm in a place of my career where it's like even showing face costs me money. Okay? So I am making sure that I am moving in a way that is saying, hey, we did a lot today. We did a lot today, and that's okay. And now you can take a break for the rest of the day, or make sure that tomorrow is a rest day before you get back onto it again. Because one thing that I have noticed is when I am intentional on taking that rest day, I literally don't do shit. The next day, I am energetic. I am moving. The next day, I have all the ideas in the world, and I am acting on them, right? And that's the beauty of that for me, is finding that balance. Because when I do that, then the things that I've been putting on hold because I was too exhausted to do it before, I can do them now, right? So that'll probably be me this week in general, right? Because I know I don't have a gig this week, this Saturday, but I know I got some things coming up. But next weekend, I'm definitely busy, and the weekend after that, I'm busy. So this weekend might be a situation where I'm creating a lot of content. So that way, when I am busy on the weekends to come, I can just post stuff. I can just post stuff because it's already created, it's already built, all right? So that is also going to be what I am actually going to talk to you guys about right quick, because it's something I've been wanting to put into effect, and I'm thinking about it on my own for me to do it. And I'm going to create a content week, okay? Nothing too crazy, but I was going to go down a list of things that I normally do when it comes to preparing for me to create content. So if I'm trying to build up my business, I'm trying to build up my brand, let people know who I am, what I do, you know what I'm saying, and where to go and put their card number in, then I need to be able to have some type of a content for them to see so that they can know this is what I'm selling and how it can relate to what it is they may need. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, for any business, you're solving a problem, right? So for me, the problem that I'm solving is helping you to break down what it is that you do in a content format by telling your story, and also being able to create multiple clips that you can ultimately schedule on a marketing strategy of some sort, right? Because I will plan that out with you, because that's something that I want to make sure that it makes sense. So even for me, I may have a day that I'm creating content, but I know that if it's a Monday, I would like to create and post content that is going to be pertaining to a live, right? So if I have a past live that I may have done, I create clips out of it, right? Usually I can either do CapCut, so they can create the clips for me, or I can use InShot. I already know what section I want to get. I go ahead and cut that out, then I go ahead and upload it, right? And then all I do is repurpose that same video on every other platform, just so that way I know that I've done something for the day. And I know I did that earlier today when it came to like the other platforms. So that's something to be able to understand, right? Same thing when it comes to something like this, and I talk about this a lot. Even if I'm just here, I'm recording, I'm talking, I got my phone running, but I also got my laptop running as well, and that's going to be on my widescreen angle. And all I'm going to do is post a widescreen angle on YouTube so people can see, hey, this is the live that I talked about. So even if this is my rest day, the fact that I make sure that this is the day that I have my lives, I am going to make sure that I'm also creating content in this moment because I am able to do so. And it's not going to hurt me. It's not going to drain me so much. Because by the time I get done, I just know, okay, cool, upload this video here. Then when I get into bed, I can actually go ahead and work on my thumbnail. I can work on the caption, the description, all of that stuff. And it's not so time consuming, and it's not going to make me feel like I'm tapping into energy I don't have. Okay? So, if you guys have any questions, of course, if you're here and you're seeing me and you want to know about things that I do when it comes to managing time and things I would suggest, or just in general when it comes to scheduling, definitely let me know. But again, like I said, I wasn't expecting to really have a whole long conversation today. I just knew that I just was tired today. But I always want to make sure that I show up for myself. At the end of the day, I always want to make sure that I show up for me. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And even if I may not be on here an hour or more or whatever and doing that thing, I know that I've clocked in for myself, right? So just so that way, if the next day were to kick in and I realize I didn't do the said thing I said I was going to do, it's going to deteriorate at my confidence and my own self-esteem about me. And I don't want to do that. I've been there, done that. So I'd rather continue building it. So even if I'm tired, I'm exhausted, I'm like, yo, I just had a busy ass weekend, let's talk about it, then that's cool, right? Because that's still content, because people can still relate. Because the burnout is real, right? It is absolutely fucking real. I don't care what you got going on. If you don't put into place of what it is that you're doing and how to handle it, you are going to be burned the fuck out, right? So, if that is all and nobody has any questions, that's cool. I will actually go ahead and end it off for the night. But I appreciate you guys, as always, for just coming in and touching and listening to what I got to say for this evening. But just know that the work don't stop. Like, I don't care how tired I am. I don't care what's going on. I'm going to make sure that I am going to keep planning out things that I need to be planning out, because at the end of the day, these bills don't stop, okay? My passion don't stop. I have to keep working. I have to keep going, because the only way this engine is going to keep making the results that I need, okay? So that's all I got for y'all. All right, thank y'all so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next one.